Hi, and welcome to this pre-recorded yoga line with me, Molly. And this will be a 45-minute session this week, and it is going to be super cooling and mellow. So really relaxing, very slow, mainly on the floor, and we're going to really look at just kind of stretching. And this session would be perfect to do if it's really hot weather, or if you're getting hot flushes, or you just want something really chilled and relaxed. So as per, we're going to start with a bit of movement, and then we're going to finish with Shavasana, and then a little pranayama and meditation just to finish off. So we are going to start lying down. Before we begin, worth me saying that for today's session, you might want to have 2 blocks on you, if that's okay. If you don't have them, you can use a rolled up blanket or books, but we're going to have them to hand. And you might want some water. I won't give water breaks, but feel free at any point during the session to stop for water. And as always, as I always say, feel free to modify the poses accordingly to make them fit you. And feel free to just listen to your body and don't do anything if it doesn't feel comfortable. Perfect. So we're going to start off in a reclined pose. And we're going to start in constrictive rest, but we're going to look at doing a little back bend. So if it feels good, you can use a block or a brick, or if you have a rolled up blanket, you can use that instead. And we're going to come and just pop it down. And we want to have our rolled up blanket, you're going to have long ways along like that. And you might find that comfier than a brick, to be honest, but we're going to have that down so it's kind of running along our shoulder blades, if you'd like. Getting nice and comfortable. Then if it feels good here, we're going to cactus the arms out, bringing fingertips to face away. And having knees bent. And it can be quite nice. We're going to stay here for a couple of breaths. This is our first pose. And it can be quite nice, if it's okay, to just gently bring your feet out to the edge of the mat and your knees together. That can feel quite nice. Or if you prefer to, if this feels pretty chill, you can stretch your legs out nice and long. But once we're comfortably positioned here, we're going to softly close our eyes. And we're going to begin our practice. So just bringing that awareness to your breath. Feeling it flow in and out of your body. Bringing that awareness to your chest, to your collarbones. And as you inhale in, feeling that very soft lift. And as you exhale, really feeling the shoulder blades and the collarbones soften down. Feeling that opening and that space being created. Feeling that lift and that softening. And feeling free to come out of this at any point if it doesn't feel good for you. Or perhaps just really resting down into it. Bringing that awareness down into our stomach and our glutes. Feeling our glutes soften, release into the ground. our stomach let go. I'm going to stay here for a couple more breaths. And then when we're ready, very gently, we're going to draw the arms down, palms facing down. And if we haven't done so already, we're going to bend our knees, planting our feet into the ground. And then very softly from here, we're going to draw the knees over onto one side, turning our body onto one side. And then we're going to softly roll onto our side, peeling off the block. Perhaps staying here for a couple of breaths, resting on your side. Feeling that opening, that change in posture through your upper back. And then planting into your hands, we're going to press ourselves up. And we're going to move our block away, coming into a tabletop pose. And I lied, you might want to have your block to hand, sorry. So we're going to commit into an extended child's pose and then a child's pose. So taking the knees nice and wide, toes together. We're going to sink our buttocks down to our heels. And then we're going to bring, if you'd like, a block, and you are more than welcome to place the block under your forehead or under your hand if that feels better. Just picking the one for you, and this is very restorative. So we want it to feel soft and relaxing. And then once we're comfortably there in the pose, we're going to gently close our eyes. We're going to stay here for a few breaths or a couple of minutes. And feeling free to move around if that feels better for you. Or to be still. And perhaps softly rolling your head side to side, massaging your foreheads in the ground, the block. Taking a deep inhalation in all the way to the top, 100%. Filling up and then exhaling, sighing out. And we're going to do that a couple more times. And as you exhale out, really feel that heaviness in your pelvis, in your glutes, and your hips. Feeling it melt down, drop down. And then if it feels good from here, perhaps taking our heads or our hands off the block or leaving our head on the block, we can bring our hands round to either side of our feet, coming into Balasana, child's pose. Or if you prefer to, we can move the block and you can rest your hands under your forehead. But feeling that curve outwards in your spine, the rounding. And inhaling in, drawing that breath all the way into your trapezius muscles, your upper back. And then as you exhale out, feeling that sinking and that softening with your chest and your hips. Inhaling into that expansion, exhaling, letting go. And then when we're ready from here, very gently, perhaps opening our eyes, we're going to come onto our forearms, pressing into the tops of our feet and the palms of our hands. We're going to engage our body, feeling that difference in tension. And then we're going to softly press ourselves up to a tabletop position. Wonderful. Coming into tabletop. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to flow through very gently a couple of little cat-cows. So we're just creating a little bit of soft movement. Wonderful. Oh, excuse me. And doing this as slowly or as quickly as you'd like, just tapping into that breath and that movement. And then when you're ready from here, after your last one, we're going to bring ourselves back to neutral. And then from here, we're going to lower down onto our forearms and very gently and mindfully, we're going to come down onto our front into our crocodile pose. And having the tops of our feet resting on the ground, knees, thighs, hip flexors and pelvis. And then from here, if it feels good, we're going to spread the elbows out. So we're going to rest our foreheads on our hands. We're going to stay here for a couple of breaths. Feeling the coolness of the mat beneath you. And then we're going to softly bring the elbows in under our shoulders, hands out in front, and we're going to inhale up to that Sphinx. Softening the neck. Relaxing the jaw. As you exhale out, feeling your pelvis and your thighs soften. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to softly lower the left forearm onto the ground, hand resting on the ground. We're going to lower our forehead down onto it. And then we're going to bring our right arm back behind us. And we're going to softly bend our right leg. And if it feels good, you might take a hold of that right foot with your right hand. You might not, in which case they can just kind of be drawn towards each other. Or equally, you can bring that hand back and just point that toe like that. Wonderful. And we're going to very softly, not forcing anything, just think about keeping the weight relatively even in the hip flexors. And just gently stretching. And then if it feels good from here, we're going to inhale up onto our forearm, coming into a little back bend like this. We're going to stay here for 2 breaths, not forcing anything. Just simply listening into our body. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to softly let go of that foot, perhaps wriggling the foot. And we're going to place it down, bringing both forearms onto the ground, lowering back down to crocodile. And staying here for 2 breaths. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to bring it to the other side. So bringing that left foot back behind mindfully, drawing that left toe up, perhaps saying this is enough, I'll stay here. Or perhaps reaching for that foot with your hand. And perhaps you want to stay here, perhaps this feels exactly where you need to be. In which case you're going to stay. Or perhaps you want to bring the forearm under and gently draw yourself up for just a couple of breaths. And again, thinking about having both thighs on the ground. Breathing into it. And then when you're ready from here, we're going to softly let go, circling the ankle and foot. Bringing that hand back out in front, we're going to gently lower our forehead to our hands. Taking a breath here. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to bring our hands either side of our chest and tucking the toes under. We're going to softly, softly press ourselves up to a tabletop position. Perfect. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to have a little play with pigeon pose. So we're going to use our right hands. We're going to take a hold of the right leg, and then we're going to step it forwards, coming into a low lunge. And we're going to bring both hands to the inside of that leg, if that's okay. So creating a little bit of space. And if you prefer to, you are more than welcome to take the blocks and pop your hands on your blocks. But we're going to stay here for a couple of breaths. So perhaps we can bring a little bit of circling in. So just softly, softly circling round. Moving into our hips. And this is very much a cooling practice. We don't want anything energetic. And then we're going to take that circling the other way. Soft, soft, soft. And then we're going to bring ourselves back to center. And we're going to play a little bit with a lizard variation. So we're going to bring our right hand to the inside of our right thigh. And we're going to very gently press that knee open. So not forcing it, just a gentle, gentle press. And then softly releasing. And then once more, if that feels good, gently pressing open. Breathing into it. And then when we're ready, softly, softly coming back to center. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to inhale the right arm up, coming into a closed twist. And perhaps bringing that arm back behind us. Breathing into it. And then we're going to bring that arm back up and back down. And then if it feels good, we're going to very softly walk our foot across to our left hand. And if it feels comfy, we're going to lower that knee down to the ground. So we're coming into our pigeon pose. Wonderful. And you're going to stay here if this feels good. If it doesn't, then what you can also do is you can do pigeon seated. So you can come into a seated position, and having the left foot on the ground, you can bring your right ankle onto it. Maybe gently press that knee. And you're more than welcome to do that. So whatever pigeon pose you find yourself in, we want to make sure we're comfortable. So taking a couple of deep breaths. And then perhaps if you'd like one, you can grab your blocks if they're to hand. And then if it feels comfy in your pigeon, we're going to start to softly lower down onto our forearms. Perhaps cupping your head with your hands, or going all the way down onto the earth if you prefer to. Coming into what any pigeon for you feels good. Bringing that awareness to our joints, to our ankles, to our hips and our knees. Are they soft? Are they tense? Perhaps wriggling your toes. Breathing into your knees and your hips and your shoulders. And just letting everything go. And with every exhalation, you just allow yourself to soften into this pose. And then when you're ready from here, we're going to softly, softly press ourselves back up. And then if it feels comfortable, we're going to gently tuck the left toes under, and we're going to bring that right knee back out, and perhaps stretching that right foot back behind, coming into a little calf stretch. And then if it feels good, you can step that right foot forward again, and then we can come into a little runner's lunge. So lifting the right toes up off the ground, you can just gently sink forwards into your runner's lunge if that feels good for you. And taking a breath here. A bit wobbly. And then we're going to softly, softly roll back into that lunge, and then walk, or using our hands, bring that foot back. Perfect. We're going to take that whole thing to the other side. So when we're ready, using the left hand, we're going to step that left foot forwards, coming into a low lunge. And perhaps using our blocks, if that feels good, we're going to start to circle round into the hips. Wonderful. And taking those circles as big or as small as you'd like, or perhaps just going up and down. And then taking that circling the other way. Listening to your body. And then if it feels good, we're going to softly, softly come into that closed twist. Oh, we'll come into that press first of all, sorry. So we're going to gently bring the left hand to the inside of the left thigh, and then softly pressing that left thigh open. Only as much as you'd like. Very gentle stretch. And then perhaps releasing back to center, and then perhaps pressing again. And then coming back to center. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to come into our closed twist. We're going to inhale that left arm up, opening the torso to the left-hand side, and then perhaps bringing that hand down to the base of our spine. Taking a breath here. Breathing into that twist, then rendering into the feeling. And then bringing the arm back up and down. We're going to softly push the blocks forward. And then we're going to walk that left foot across before gently lowering that knee down. Coming into our pigeon pose on this side. So same again, getting nice and comfortable. So perhaps here feels good, or perhaps sitting and doing pigeon pose in a seated position feels better, or lying down. Or equally, if you prefer to, we can start to softly lower down if that feels good, coming into whatever hold of pigeon you'd like. Again, we're going to stay here for a couple of breaths. I'm going to invite you to just gently close your eyes. And as you feel your eyelids go heavy, feel that heaviness, that sensation travel on down through the rest of your body. Feeling that melting feeling. Softening your body. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to very softly press into the hands, tucking the back toe under. And we're going to draw ourselves up, unpeeling that knee and bringing ourselves into that lunge. And if it feels good, we're going to walk off to the center, bringing hands either side. We're going to draw our torso back, and we're going to draw the front toes up, coming into our runner's lunge. And taking a breath here. And then softly rolling ourselves forward to that lunge. We're going to bring the hands to the inside, and then we're going to walk that foot perhaps behind, coming into a little calf stretch. Gently rocking. And then we're going to bring the knees back. And then if it feels good, we're going to start to make our way down to Shavasana. So we're going to head into Shavasana from our final stretch. So if you want to pop any socks on or grab a blanket, you absolutely can. And then in your own time, any way you'd like, we're going to gently, gently make our way down onto our back with our knees bent. And we're going to softly come into a little wind pose, but we're going to hold it for a little bit longer. So once you're comfortable, we're going to draw that right knee up to our chest, pointing the toes to the wall behind us. We're going to hug that knee in, perhaps gently rocking side to side or moving it round in circular motions. And then if it feels good, you're going to stretch that left leg long away from you. Then as we're lying here in the pose, just feel your shoulder blades heel down into the ground and drawing your knee up. And perhaps softly closing your eyes. And just letting go into the posture. Noticing what it does for your body. And then when you're ready, we're going to very softly bend that left knee, bringing the foot onto the ground. And then placing that right foot on the ground, we're going to take it to the other side. Hugging the left knee up, perhaps drawing it round in circular motions. Or taking it the other way. And then stretching that right leg nice and long. And breathing into it. And again, feeling our shoulders press into the ground. Our back nice and long. Feet heavy. And then when we're ready, we're going to softly, softly draw the right knee up. Placing the left leg down, perhaps stretching it out nice and long. And then we're going to make our way into Shavasana. So whether you'd like to have your knees bent and draw a blanket over yourself, or stretch your feet out nice and long, or come into any other position that feels comfortable for you, whether that's popping a pillow under your head or being on your side, but coming into the Shavasana of your choice. And then once you're comfortably positioned, lying down in Shavasana, I'm going to invite you to just softly close your eyes. Bringing the awareness to your breath. And feeling the cool mats beneath you. And the breath rolling over you. And with every exhalation, you just allow any unwanted thoughts to leave. And if they come back again, which they no doubt will, you just softly invite them to go again. And then as we're lying there with our eyes closed, I'm going to invite you to just imagine that you can see the ocean in front of you. The most beautiful blue water with the sun shining down and making crystal-like flecks of light reflect in the water. Seeing the golden sand beneath it. And there is nothing else around you apart from the sound of the waves. And perhaps they're crashing in, or perhaps they're lapping or rolling. Whatever calls to you. Perhaps you're standing in front of it, or sitting, or lying on a chair, but you can see it and you are rested. And you see the lights, the golden sunlight, the reflection light, and you see the colours, the blue, the flecks of white, the gold, and the warmth of the sun. Perhaps you can feel that gentle breeze on your face and your body. Slowly blowing over you, cooling you. And as you're laying there, you start to become aware that your breath is in sync to the movement of the waves. And with every inhalation, a wave is rolling in up the sand towards you. And as you exhale out, it draws back out again, for then the next one to roll in as you call your breath home. And that movement connected to your breath goes on and on. And you have control of the movement of the waves. All you have to do is simply breathe and observe. Perhaps the waves are loud in your ears, or they're very, very quiet. But just noticing that movement, the ocean, with your breath. You're calling it home. And then perhaps if you like, you're more than welcome to stay in Shavasana and switch me off. And then come out in your own time. Or equally, if you prefer to, we're going to start to gently allow the waves and the beach, the feeling of the cool breeze to gently melt away. And as that disappears, that image goes, the awareness to your body starts to come back, feeling into your fingers or your toes, wriggling and stretching any way that feels good for you. Just taking this moment to tap in. And perhaps you want to take a beautiful yawn or hug your glorious body tight. This moment of self-care, just listening and intuitively giving yourself what your body craves. And when you're ready, if you haven't done so already, I'm going to invite you to softly open your eyes, bringing back the external environment, everything around you. And at your own time, any way you like, rocking or rolling, we're going to gently make our way up to a seated position. And we're going to bring our practice to a close with a little pranayama exercise. We're going to do this and we're not going to meditate because our Shavasana kind of had an element of meditation in it anyway. So this pranayama that we're going to do is perfect for if you're feeling very hot or flustered. It is not suitable if you are pregnant, so do not do it if you're pregnant. And it is quite strong. So if you feel uncomfortable or you feel like you're not getting enough breath in, please just return to normal breathing. This is definitely not a beginner friendly pranayama. It's more suitable for people who have experience of pranayama exercises or breathwork exercises. So this is called Kiding breath, and it can be really nice to do when you're feeling hot. It's hot weather or overwhelmed. So I'm going to demonstrate and talk you through it, and then I'm going to keep doing it a few more times, and you can just do it with me when you'd like. We're going to have our lips ever so slightly open, so not really wide, but just open a bit, and our teeth together. And we're going to inhale in through our mouth, through our teeth. So teeth together, lips open. And then holding for just a beat, not a breath, just a beat before then exhaling out through mouth or nose. Yogi's choice. And then inhaling in. And then last one. And then we're going to allow our breath to just return to normal, however you'd like, and gently closing your eyes. We're going to take a couple of breaths here. Perhaps noticing the difference. Perhaps being a little more aware of your breath, what it brings to your body. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring our practice to a close. So you're more than welcome to watch or join in. But we're going to gently bring our hands together to Anjali Mudra, to our chest. And then perhaps softly closing our eyes. We're going to take a moment here to reflect and just think of a few things that we are grateful for that have happened or we've been aware of in the last 24 hours. It can be the little things or the big things, people or actions, or a nice cup of tea. And then we're going to bring our hands up to our third eye and just give thanks. Thanks to the practice of yoga for all that it brings to us. To the many, many, many people who came before us, who brought the practice of yoga to us. And then giving thanks to ourselves for carving out this time in your day, your busy schedules, to give to yourself to practice yoga. Thanking yourself for that love and that discipline, that compassion and kindness. And thank you for joining me for this pre-recorded session. I hope that you enjoyed it. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop a message. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And take care. And I hope you found it nice and cooling. Thanks. Bye.